Hi guys, my name is Disney McNulty and I'm an Elite Global Ambassador for Shark Fin Shears. Today I'm going to show you guys how to do a simple curtain bang hair cutting tutorial that's going to make your life so much easier behind the chair. So we'll just get right into it. Now my guest and I have actually already had our consultation and we're wanting to have her curtain bangs hit right at about that cheekbone length. That's going to be a really awesome spot so that she can have a lot of versatility within her cut today. So we'll get right on into it. I've already pre-washed her so she is all wet. So what you're going to do, because she does like to have a little middle part, you're really going to first get that sectioning down. So we're going to start in the middle, get her middle part going. And then we are going to start sectioning off her two sides, making sure that it's going to be behind the ear. This won't be as vital for your curtain bang portion, but this is usually how I section all of my guests' hair. You can clip it back as well, just to make it easier. Making sure that your sections are clean and precise is definitely key. Okay, so now we can really see what's in the front of her facial area. As I clipped back all of this in this back portion, we can really see what is falling right in front, which I love to see, especially when I am doing curtain bangs. I really like to check the density of their hairline. Sometimes a lot of people will have less density on the sides of their hair or a little bit more. Depending on what the flavor is in terms of curtain bangs, they might want it a little bit piecier and a little bit wispier, but they also want it a little bit bulkier too. So you just have to really ask that in the consultation and make sure that the look that they're going for. Okay, so as we're starting out in this front section, what I'm really looking for, and I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of educators use this term, but really place your comb right on this top apex of their head shape. What I'm noticing is that her natural fall tends to happen right in this area. Because she's wanting to go for a little bit of a wispy fringe, but more on that like heavier side, that real true curtain bang. So we're gonna really try to utilize that natural fall, especially in this front portion, to determine where her curtain bangs will lay the most flattering on her head shape. So what I'm noticing right here is that her natural fall tends to start right in this area. So as we can see, it can be a little bit more farther back depending on the hairline of each person. So I'm just gonna bring that forward now so you guys can see it. So I kind of like to use that as my guide to not go past that point, because sometimes if you do go past that point, you can lose density on the sides, and people really love to have more density on their sides, depending on the type of cut. So just making sure to keep that into account and accommodation for them. So what I first like to do is I actually start off with just a little tiny triangle section, and I'll clip all the rest of the hair right in this back area, just so that I keep everything clean and organized on both sides. Now, if this was my real guest, I would probably not do full clips. I would actually tuck it behind their ears. The less clips, the less bulk that they have on their head shape, and then you can really see a little bit more. So as we're starting out, we have these two little triangle sections right in the front, really making sure that they are clean. So I'm just gonna go through and double check. You can tell that I had a little bit more on that side. Okay. Sweet. Alrighty, so we have our first section that's gonna be right in the front. Now what I'll do is I won't cut this whole section right away. I'm actually gonna take a section inside of that one, just like that. And it's just gonna have those two pieces that would normally hang more towards the top of that brow area. Right in the front, just right in that middle area. Especially because she is middle parting, we really wanna make sure that there's balance on both sides. So this will usually be my first section. So as we're coming through here, I actually like to use, let's use these ones. I'm gonna be using my Damascus shears on this guy first. I really love it that it has a swivel so I can alter my hand position, which is always ideal for cutting fringe in general. All right, I'm just gonna slightly turn it just so you guys can see where I'm starting off. So as we're coming in this way, I'm really gonna check, and I usually go a little bit longer than shorter when cutting fringe. The main purpose of that is we have a little bit of insurance, right? So if I did cut it too short, or if she changed her mind right in that second as she's seeing it on her face shape, then we can go back and alter where she wants to see it. So, and I also will tell the guests that as well, just so that they're aware. Alrighty, so as I'm bringing it forward, what I'm checking is that, you know, we're not having so much elevation. I'm not bringing it down and pulling it necessarily, but I am trying to make sure that I'm getting a nice guide as I'm starting out. So I will start right in this front area, and I am gonna do it just right, and give it a little bit of leeway too. So right at that like nose area, kind of a little bit below that cheekbone. And I'm just gonna come through here, so you guys can see it, and I am gonna just start point cutting. That's all I'm doing. So just point cutting. Perfect. So that's gonna be our first guide. Also making sure, because we are cutting this wet, usually if they have a little bit more texture to their hair, once they do dry it, it is gonna shrink up just slightly. So just keeping that in mind with their texture as well. So now that we do have that first section starting out, it's kind of a little bit right at that cheekbone area, slightly lower. I'm gonna make sure with the guest, if this is where she's liking that first starting guide, I'll even pull the hair away from it. See, hey, are you liking where this is hitting? If I pulled it over here, you would hit right at that cheekbone. It'll be a little bit lower. Is that what you're liking? 9 times out of 10, that's usually what they like. So then what I'll do is I'll actually take that starting guide still. And now I'm gonna start incorporating the other part of our triangle shape. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm actually going to be over-directing. What that over-direction is doing is it's creating a short to long gradient so that it's easier for cutting and styling. It's also gonna give us that curtain bang swoop, which I really love. So I'm just gonna bring it all the way over, and then I am gonna bring it all the way and just start point cutting. I'm not elevating it because I don't want to create any graduation, so I'm actually just meeting the hair right where it likes to lay naturally. All right, so we have the start of this curtain fringe already going on, which I'm loving so far. Then what I'll do is I'll actually go to the other side. I am trying to make it as symmetrical as possible, so changing sides you can totally do, or if you just want to have one side as well, you can also do that. Then, now I'm just going to bring it all the way over. Do that same thing. Perfect. Awesome. So now we have our first starting guide. You can already see that the hair is a little bit turning up. That is because of our over direction. So that is really pushing that hair to move and direct it back, which is really cool. So now we're gonna take our next guide. I might shorten these up just slightly, but we'll see. Now I'm gonna take our next guide. It is gonna still be type of a triangle type section, bringing that forward, pinning the rest of this back. Similar on this side. Forward, and pinning it back. Cool. So now we have our two neck sections that we're gonna be working with. Alrighty, so we'll start on this side, and I'm gonna move the head this way just so you can really see what that over direction's doing. So I am gonna bring it, do the same thing as I did last time. Your guide's gonna be right where that previous one is. Sometimes if they're wanting a little bit of that longer fringe, I'll go a little bit past and use it as more of like a traveling guide. So I am gonna bring it all the way over. All right, similar, just point cutting. And bring it back. Now I usually ask the guest, are you liking how this is falling on your face shape so far? Usually they'll be like, oh, I kind of want it a little bit shorter, I want it a little bit longer. So you can start tweaking the actual cut during this portion instead of having to do the full cut and then go back, which I really like to do. So same thing, I'm gonna come on the other side. And I'm gonna over direct. This is where your natural guide is. I'm just gonna go slightly past that. With this portion, you can either point cut or you can do a straight blunt cut, depending on what you're wanting to do. Okay. So now we have more of that shape going on, which I'm loving. Also making sure to check for balance. You can come in the front, you can come on the sides, just to make sure that each side is symmetrical. Now we're gonna take our last and final section for the curtain bang portion. And this is actually gonna be right at that apex. So it's gonna be right where her natural hair likes to go into more of her side portion. Because it's a mannequin, it's gonna have a phenomenal hairline. But taking that into consideration, I'm not trying to go too far back so that she loses density on her sides. All right, now I'm just over directing, same thing. Try not to cut try not to cut past your second knuckle. I do that a lot on accident and I regret it later, so just keeping that in mind. Okay, bringing it that way. And then the same thing on this side. All right, awesome, sweet. So now that we have our curtain fringe going on, this is where you'll determine with the guest. I'll usually like to ask them, do you want this to be disconnected or connected? 9 times out of 10, usually they'll say that they want a little bit of connection within their longer portion of their hair, so I'll show you guys how to do that. So now all it is slide cutting. So we have our really strong structure right here in the front for our curtain fringe. What I'm gonna do now is just take vertical sections down the rest of their hairline. And usually this will only be about like 1 or 2 sections. You're not trying to do anything too crazy. Making sure that you're checking for balance as well. Sweet. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna come through here and just do some slide cutting technique. Making sure that when you are slide cutting, it's not just one big slide. You are gently going through and making little notches in the hair so that it can be a really seamless transition. Cool. So now I'm just taking my longest portion of this section, coming through here, and I am just coming right in this area and just barely slide cutting just a little bit just to create some connection, but nothing too crazy. Same thing, bring it forward. And I'll really like to over direct it a little bit forward so that we are preserving a lot of that length. Just like so. Perfect. Go on the other side. All right, now I'm coming through, bringing that section forward, coming through with my shears using that little swivel, and just creating little notches in the hair. I'll usually stop once I get to my second knuckle. This will make sure that I have consistency and that my tension is still strong. Bring it forward and come through this way, making sure that you are still preserving a lot of that length because now we are working on the sides. Awesome. So now we have a little bit more connection from her curtain bang to her longest length, which is important. Alrighty, and then this is gonna be our last section. It's just a very slight section as well. Now we're hitting right at the beginning of where her ear is. As you can see, I don't really like to go past that ear shape because this is all she's gonna have for her forward front section, so making sure that the density is still strong. Now I'm just coming through this way. And this is where I kind of go past that first guide because we are trying to preserve length. So I'll just come through here, connect anything that was misconnected, making sure that you're letting go, grabbing that hair again, creating that tension. You should not be losing a lot of hair at this portion. Same thing here. Also keeping in mind that you're looking and seeing where this hair is as you're bringing it forward. Sometimes what happens is that there would be a little bubble, the hair will kind of be messy, making sure that your sections are clean so that you are actually grabbing all the hair where it's falling, so that once it does naturally go into its position where it likes to fall, it's all consistent. Okay, now that we've connected our curtain bangs, we're liking where they're sitting, let's start drying and see where the style goes. Perfect. Now she has her fringe going on. Now I'm going to show you guys some dry styling or dry cutting techniques in terms of the curtain bang fringe so that you can create a little bit more wispiness, break it up a little bit for them if they are wanting something a little bit on the wispier side. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So what I'm going to do is very similar. I'm still taking those triangle sections. I'll kind of show you what I'm going to do with them. So taking that first triangle section, don't worry about parting it off just because I don't think you necessarily need to. If you feel like you need to, go for it. So I'm taking this first section and I'm actually gonna flip the hair right where my fingers are. And I'm gonna start creating little notches in that fringe. So I'm gonna come through here, create little notches. That's creating space, especially to create more of that wispiness in that fringe area. Come back through. It's also pushing the hair this way so that it naturally falls. It's naturally going to want to fall more towards the back. Same thing on this side, just coming through here, creating little notches in that hair. All this is doing is removing weight, but also creating space. I'm liking how that style is already looking. So I am actually just gonna create 2 sections on each side to create that wispiness and space and a little bit of bulk removal. Perfect. Awesome. So now that we have our fringe, I'm going to style the rest of the hair and show you guys the finished product. Alrighty, so we got the perfect style going on. I gave her a little blowout fitting for the occasion. So now what you're gonna do after you get your style in, whether that's curls, a blowout, something fun and different, now what I like to do is just set that little curtain fringe. So I'll come through here and just spray it down with my favorite hairspray. You could even mold it a little bit more, press the pieces together if you want those pieces to show the separation between each. It's kind of fun to create that. You can even like spray your fingertips too and use that to pinch it, really creating that separation so they can see each individual layer, which is really fun. A little bit softer, but I do like to show them what notches are in their hair so that they can really see the effortless flow and cascade that they have going on. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on this adventure today. I'm so happy that you guys were able to watch. If you guys have any other questions, tips, tricks, always here to help. My name is Disney McNulty again, and until next time,